Oh, hey, it's Dan Greats. My friends call me Greatsy. And after another brief hiatus to pay the bills, I'm back with my 3 things this week. First up, we all learned last week that 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers, including Australian Zomi Frankham, were tragically murdered by the Israeli Defence Force. Government figures were quick to offer condolences and condemn the attack, but the quiet bit they didn't say out loud was that Australian taxpayers will be handing $917 million to the company that manufactured the drone that murdered those aid workers. Elbit Systems have a track record of complicity in human rights abuses, and their systems have even been ripped out of Australian military equipment due to security concerns. But apparently that's all cool and normal for Richard Marles and the Brains Trust, who brought you the failed Joint Strike Fighter program for $16 billion, the failed Future Frigate program for $45 billion, and the questionable War Memorial upgrade for $550 million. Let's move on to better news. And it's a bit of a victory lap for fans of independent politics, as it was confirmed this week that fisherman and independent candidate for Braddon, Craig Garland, secured enough of a quota to land a seat in the next Tasmanian Parliament. I interviewed Craig when I was in Launceston. Take a listen to his hopes for this, his 6th run at politics, and how he'd conduct himself if he got in.
Pretty interesting on my part, being a smallmouth fisherman, and suddenly the perception that was attached to me politically was quite large, and here I am now doing my 6th, and hopefully this will be my last. Me personally, I'll work with anyone. I've played football with anyone, I've backpacked with anyone, I'd give anyone a lift up if they fell over. My previous working life, ship's husbandry. There's no different to being a politician, you're a facilitator. Something needs to be done and you need some information, and it's up to you to find it or get it done or make avenues to that end. You know, it's not hard, and knowing the people I do in this state, we've got everything covered if they just listen and let those people that know what they're talking about do and get the job done.
Independent Christy Johnston was also re-elected for her 2nd term. I chatted to her on election night.
Let's remember that we're in this particular position because the Rockcliffe government couldn't cope with it off the crossbench, a diverse crossbench. They were my way or the highway kind of government. They didn't recognise they need to be collaborative and work with the crossbench. No one political party has a monopoly on good ideas. It shouldn't be that it's only one party who gets to put those forward. There should be a genuineness to collaborate, to try and make sure we get the best legislative outcome for Tasman.
The election was an embarrassing outcome for the Liberal Party, but don't tell that to their delusional leader, who, before the results were even remotely confirmed, was having a normal one with this cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs election night speech.
And today also looks like a 4th consecutive win for the Liberal Party. This has never happened before.
Since then, he's inked a deal with the 3 successful Jackie Lambie Network candidates, securing their guarantees on confidence and supply in exchange for a handful of reviews and some loose promises around accountability. Independent member for Nelson and friend of the show, Meg Webb, was invited on ABC Radio to offer her opinion of the deal, and she didn't miss.
People will look at this deal and say, hang on, they've secured more scrutiny of right to information legislation.
Let me just pull you up right there, Leon, because they haven't. What we see here is a deal, it's a travesty of a deal that neutralises the Lambie members in Parliament without delivering anything substantial in return to them, and unfortunately positions them now as apologists, essentially, for the government, for any secrecy or unaccountability or lack of integrity that this government might engage in. They have secured nothing concrete, nothing tangible. It doesn't even say an independent review. It doesn't say that review will be answerable to Parliament or delivered to Parliament. It doesn't contain a commitment to implement any findings from those reviews, and it doesn't contain a commitment to fund any findings from those reviews in implementing them. So there's nothing that's actually tangibly been delivered through listing those things under a heading in this agreement. But when you look at this deal that is so disadvantageous to the Lambie members, it's virtually impossible to believe that the government entered into negotiations in this deal in good faith.
I wonder how much pressure they will be put under to test this deal when Parliament returns in late May, as we're expecting.
I just don't see how the Lambie members will be able to function. In fact, they've basically been neutralised. They've been neutered in Parliament by this deal. They will be sitting there utterly constrained. They've neutered themselves in that parliamentary domain, and it's a shame because I think that they've had the wool pulled over their eyes with it. And I wonder whether it's a bad faith negotiation, because quite frankly, this is a deal that should be torn up.
Despite the egregious wool pulling, Rockcliffe is still one member short of a majority. He's negotiating with Craig, Kristie and the third independent, David O'Byrne. So with JLN signing their rights away, in the end it could be a single independent truly holding the balance of power. If you've got a story you think needs telling, hit us up at theundercurrent.com.